What's up, guys? Is there like a law on YouTube where you have to say, what's up, guys? Whoa, it's bright. It's almost like everybody's like, what's up, guys? Anyways, what's up, guys?
So,
thanks for watching my YouTube video. Please consider subscribing. Dude, what? Why are you...
I make my YouTube video, man.
I know, I'm also making a YouTube video. Do you have to stand right there?
Well, everyone knows that this parking lot gets the best reception.
That is true.
Guys, this is the problem with life. Every single day you gotta deal with shit.
Keep watching. See you soon.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know that he's a party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, listen to our Pocket Party. Pocket Party.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. Yeah. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to a Pocket Party. Pocket Party. Darren.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Pocket Party Podcast with your host, me, Darren Carter, the party starter. You guys can see me in Orlando at the Orlando Improv, July 26th to the 29th. I will be at the Ontario Improv, August 29th. That's right, Southern California, August 29th, Ontario Improv. Come out to the Ontario Improv. And if you can't make it, tell a friend. All right, let's do this. Let's get out there. October 19th and 20th, I will be at the Dead Crow in North Carolina. And did you guys like last week's podcast with Fraser Smith? I got a lot of downloads, a lot of great feedback. And if you remember, we were talking about how what they do at the Comedy Magic Club. It's their 40th birthday since they've been open. It's in Hermosa Beach. Great club. One of the best clubs, man. It's just, that's where like George Carlin would go. Jerry Seinfeld pops in there. Jay Leno. Jay Leno, he plays there on Sundays. At the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. So what they do is, it's kind of cool, man. They have 20 comedians going on, one at a time. And each comic does about 4.5 minutes, which is like doing a late night TV spot. And they do this in July. Every year in July, they call it the birthday shows. And they'll have 20 comics going up, doing a short set. You'll see Daniel Tosh pop in, Ray Romano. Great comics you see on late night. And what happened was, what Fraser and I were talking about, is they already had their 20 comedians. So the show was really long because they say 4.5. But, people sometimes do 5.5 or 6. And that adds up. So they had us going on at the end, and they were like, here's a wacky idea. Why don't you guys go up on stage together and just pass the microphone back and forth? And it was hilariously awkward. It was awkward, but it was hilarious. And I put a little clip of it up on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube, you'll see it. Look, Darren Carter. Just go to my Darren Carter channel on YouTube. By the way, if you're into Instagram, official Darren Carter is where you find me. And I'm going to play this clip. I want you guys to hear it. But first, I want to give a shout out to a couple people. Lee Meyerhofer, always leaving me those comments on iTunes and YouTube. Thank you so much. Francis Cronin, love it, buddy. Lonnie Pelly, thank you, my Fresno brother. Clean comedian up there, Lonnie Pelly. We got Raymond Morgan. Rems in the house. Mike Bagak. Tommy Boy Live, the Miguel Romero. Somebody, I got some, who else? On iTunes. I can't believe it. I got like three new reviews in 1 week on iTunes. That was great. I really appreciate it. Caesar, Cesar. Awesome, man. And I think he's from South Bend, Indiana. From Minneapolis, we have Big Z MN69. Biggs MN69 wrote a really nice comment on iTunes. Love the Dean Larrett episode, they said. And Amanda Pepple from Fairbanks, Alaska. Amanda Pepple. I'm going to do a whole, what I'd like to do is do a whole podcast on dating and what it's like nowadays in this whole technology time. I mean, it's really weird. I was at Starbucks last week and I saw this couple. They look like they just met off like Tinder or Bumble or something. And I just overheard the one part where the lady was like, she's like, yeah, I have several different laughs. Yeah. And then she started to demonstrate her different laughs. It was hilarious because I'm sitting there drinking coffee, and she's like, "Yeah, I know I have this kind of laugh where I'm like breathing heavy, and then I have the other laugh where I get excited, oh, and then she just kept doing these crazy laughs, and I was like, oh man, I'm so glad I'm married. I would hate to be on the dating scene with somebody demonstrating their weird laughs, you know. But anywho, yeah. So let me play a little bit of this. I want you guys to hear what it was like for Fraser and I. So 20 comedians had already gone on. We go on at the very end. You guys go up at the same time. And how hilarious and awkward it was.
We had some friends that came in. So rather than bringing them out individually, we're going to bring them out together. Yeah, dude. You trying to get out of here. Give it up for Darren Carter and Fraser Smith. Come on, everybody.
We're up there clapping, looking around, one microphone. So you know what I look like, right? I'm bald. Fraser has a suit. He looks like the weatherman. It's hilarious.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you. All right. They're looking at us like, is this Fritz Coleman and the guy from the Operation game? What's going on here? Darren, how are you? We've never done this shit before. We're going to fuck it up, I'm sure. What's been happening, man?
You ever make that pillow wall between the two of you where you start stacking up pillows?
I do like a Mary joke, and then I jump into that.
I'm going to build a pillow wall, make my wife pay for it.
And I hand the mic back to
You know, it's been hot, Darren. How hot? I was sweating like Matt Lauer at HR. It's hot. Sweating like Kevin Spacey at a Boy Scout Jamboree. It's going to get worse, guys. I was sweating like Harvey Weinstein. That's it, he's a fat fuck. Come on, guys. Sweating like Caitlyn Jenner watching Nip Tuck. Pretty hot, guys. Sweating like a Kardashian taking the SATs. Yeah, sweating like Donald Trump on Telemundo.
Boy, I live in Burbank. It was so hot, I turned on the air conditioner.
By the way, I did it on purpose because I knew it'd be really awkward. Like, he does all these one-liners, and I'm just like, it was so hot, I turned on the air conditioner.
Okay, good one. It was hot in my neighborhood, too. I was in Van Nuys. People were cooking meth on the sidewalk. Yeah. Hey, you know, did you see this big summit meeting with Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un? You know, of course, they met in Singapore. They were looking for a place where they both felt comfortable, so I'm surprised they didn't meet at Supercuts.
All the sexy ladies, all the sexy ladies. All the sexy ladies, let me hear you say it. Do the ladies run this mob? We don't need no water, let the...
How do I follow that shit? Boy, you got to think about decaf.
Throw my tape.
Fraser said he felt like I was a rapper, and he was just an accountant up there. It was hilarious. And then if you listened to the podcast last week, you heard this, but why not? It's so good. I'm just going to play a little bit of it right now. This is Fraser. He started thinking about rapping again, so he brought out a rap. I'm beatboxing. He's rapping. This is on last week's podcast, by the way. We're in my car at the Bob's Big Boy parking lot. He's doing Cool Mo D.
On. Then I'll watch you 3 seconds later. I got you shaking your head, dancing is dead. The beat kicks, the rhyme's hitting like a home run, slamming like a slam dunk. You ride the wave, the James Brown pay funk. It happened to James like it happened to me. Ooh. How do you think it feels to see another MC get paid? Using my rap style. Well, I'm playing the background. Meanwhile, I can't remember.
That was awesome. I want to honk the horn. That was beautiful.
I used to love Cool Mo D.
Dude, that was great. That was great. You know what? I love
People are riding me like a pony. I'm no phony. I'm the only real macaroni playing the mic like it's
You get the idea. How hilarious is that? That was funny, man. Anyways, you guys, we love what we're doing here. We're having a blast on the Pocket Party podcast. Of course, I got to give a big shout out to Curtis Marsh Music, who does the theme song, and he's from Nashville, Tennessee. He did a cover of the theme song that my little boy Austin wrote, 10-year-old Austin, on his piano. He gave us that theme song. And all the way from the Netherlands, Jim Bryan Music did his version of the theme song. How awesome is that? Like I said, if there's anybody else who wants to send in their version of the Pocket Party theme song, please send it to pocketpartypodcast@gmail.com. Once again, pocketpartypodcast@gmail.com. You guys, I'm very excited to play our next. Let's start the podcast with the interview. It's great, man. You guys, this is one of those great storytelling episodes where the dude just pulls you in, tells you some stories. You guys are awesome. Have a great day. If you're in Burbank, meet me at the Thai Room, 821 North Hollywood Way. If I'm not there, just say hey, because I probably won't be there. But it's not like I stay there all the time. I go there about once a week, and I love it. Tell them you want the Darren Carter Friend Special. Say, hey, I heard it on the podcast. They'll know what you're saying, and they'll give you the special, man. It's good. Pocket Party Podcast Special, 821 North Hollywood Way in Burbank, California. If you guys want to support this podcast, a few ways you can do it. If you make some good money and you just want to throw me a little bone here and there, I got 4 comedy albums available on iTunes and Amazon. I got Shady Side, That Ginger's Crazy, Stay at Home Stripper, and The Party Continues. I think they're only like $9, but whatever. Just buy one, burn it for a friend, do what you got to do. It's pretty cool because I get the whenever people buy them, I get a little notification, and I think they do the bookkeeping on Mondays, because on Mondays I know that because I go down to the Comedy Store if I'm in town, and I'll be down there, and then I'll get a little notification, and it's like, oh wow, I just sold some albums, so that's pretty cool. So Mondays is when I do that. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. Like I said, 4 albums. Get them. That's if you want to, if you got a little extra change, you want to support what I do. And that, I got to tell you, the way the music business is going and the way entertainment is going, somebody asked me, why do you do a podcast? They go, who pays you guys? I'm like, nobody pays us. I go, it's great because it's another creative outlet for us. And, I'm not trying to I feel like nowadays, like with, some of these big companies, they're going to take away the ability to own your music. You know that? I just read an article a few weeks ago that iTunes they just want to go strictly to streaming, and they go, and when they're going to do that is the minute it starts to hit that tipping point where people stop buying, and at first I was like, oh, that's kind of it's interesting, and then I realized like it's nice to be able to own stuff. I love owning albums and stuff that you know what I mean? Like I like having it and owning it. I don't want to just stream it all the time. Anyways, okay, that's another story. You guys, let's get into the podcast. Thank you for the nice reviews on iTunes, YouTube. That doesn't cost a dime. You want to leave something, get a shout out, I will do that for you. Like Raymond Morgan got one. Zimmer Andronigian, shout out. You're so kind. Thank you for the nice reviews. Once again, Biggs, MN69, Amanda Pepple, Caesar. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, let's get into it, you guys. Darren Carter, party starter. Let's do it.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to The Pocket Party.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Darren Carter, the party starter, and you are listening to Pocket Party. How great has this run been, man? It's been awesome. Great guest, so fun. I love all the comments, big shout outs. I'm sure I did that already on the podcast, on the intro. Right now, I want to introduce good friend. I love his stories, and I'm so excited to have a podcast again and have him on because I've listened to his podcast. I love hanging out with him, and he's great. You know him, you love him. His name is Mike Young. He's a writer. He's a director. He's written
My Man is a Loser for Lionsgate, starring Michael Rappaport, John Stamos, and Brian Callen. He also wrote and directed A Stand-Up Guy, starring Danny Abacasser, Bob Saget, Michael Rappaport, and Ethan Suplee, now on Netflix. His next film, The District, will be coming out with Lionsgate. It's about the 1975 Mafia and their involvement in the Garment District.
Nice. He directed a couple things, I know, at least.
I wrote and directed My Man is a Loser, and I also wrote and directed A Stand-Up Guy. But I wrote The District. I'm not directing it.
That's cool, man. Well, you know what? A lot of people have to audition to be on my podcast. You went straight to the podcast.
I appreciate that, DC.
You're the man.
We've had a lot of great talks over the years,
right.
man. I've always respected the comedy and the style.
Yeah. Thank you. I was joking about the audition. Nobody auditions to be on my podcast, man. I don't want someone out there going, "Oh, I wish I could audition to be on a podcast." Oh.
It's a very simple audition. It takes place in the hallway of the Comedy Store.
Hey, you available? Get over here. Yeah, we are at the Comedy Store. I love this. Hopefully they'll. I don't know when they're going to close this room, but we're in the main room right now. The show ended maybe a half hour ago, so we're here chilling, and we're both paid regulars. I said, let's go in there and do our thing, man. For people that are new to the Mike Young world, tell us, you're from Detroit.
Grew up in Detroit, Michigan, right outside of Detroit, Southfield, actually. So everyone's heard of 8 Mile.
Yep.
So we grew up on like 11 Mile, 3 miles away from the rough spot. So, yeah, grew up in Detroit. Family was blue collar. Dad was in the scrap metal business. No entertainment connections, really.
What was the scrap metal business like? Did you go there on weekends and play around and stuff? Or
Yeah,
was
I
it
did.
super dangerous?
I loved it. It was
Wow.
dangerous.
Yeah.
My dad he was a scrap peddler for a while, basically. He had a dump truck, and he had a few accounts that were just like in Detroit. If you were in the scrap business, every deal was on a handshake, and it was all cash. Everything was cash. And so me and my brother would roll around on the dump truck with my dad. We'd be shoveling brass and steel and copper coiling into the back of the dump truck, hop back in the cab of the truck, boom, take off down 8 Mile, go hop on a scale, go in the little it's kind of an underground type business. So you go in these little, concrete rooms, and the guys there, they're like, okay, to my dad, okay, Sam, you want cash today, or you want, how do you want it? And all of a sudden, like a little envelope, like bank style, shoots in a tube all the way to the back of the scrapyard. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes later, a tube comes back. Boom, there's $15,000 in the envelope.
Dang.
It was a cool way to grow up. My dad, he didn't make really any. We were pretty much poor up until my dad turned about 42, 3 years old, and that's when he got really deep in scrap metal and kind of made a lot of money. So it was funny because most of our life we just grew up kind of like working class, and then all of a sudden, when me and my brother went to college, we saw that my dad had money out of nowhere, and it was like this. It was the scrap
You're
business.
like, damn it, but we grew up. Oh, come on, Dad. Why couldn't you have done this when I was 9? I wanted that big wheel or whatever,
But it's one of those things where when you're poor, you just don't know you're poor. You don't know because everyone.
And it's fun.
Yeah,
It's all that copper stuff is fun, right?
We had the best, bro. I had the best childhood. We really did.
The only thing I can relate to that, and this isn't exactly like that at all, and nothing like that, but it does remind me of when I was a kid, we would turn in our aluminum cans, and we'd have like 6 bags of trash bags full of soda pop and beer cans from our house, and we'd go down there and they'd weigh them and stuff, and but we weren't getting thousands of dollars, but but still it would be
scrap. You were scrapping.
Yeah, it was kind of fun though. I'd be the kid because I remember we used to have to squash the cans and make them compact, and and it was sometimes it'd be a little bit gross because my dad used to chew tobacco, and sometimes some of the cans I would squash and the spit would fly everywhere, and you're like, this is disgusting.
That's the way to come up.
Yeah,
You learn about hard work.
Yep. And the way that we used to squash the cans was we had an iron anvil, I think, and so I'd pick it up and push it down and smash, and I would get to where I could squash 1 can and then 2, and then you're like, bah, and it was pretty fun,
That's awesome.
As a kid, you're right, because nowadays people be like, you're gonna hurt your finger, you're gonna, but back then it was.
No, I feel more comfortable even to this day. I oddly feel comfortable around junkyards or railroad tracks, or it's something that I grew up around it, and I just to this day feel. I got those blue collar hands.
Yeah.
My dad was friends with some boxing people in Detroit. That's how I got into boxing. That's just in your DNA. You can't change it.
That's so cool that your dad was into boxing, and because I didn't get into boxing till 2 or 3 years ago.
I know.
I can't even.
No.
That's wow. I remember you were one of the first people. It was almost like I had this awakening. Like I was like, this is. Oh, I remember like, oh my God, like there's this whole world that I've been missing out on, and I'm so happy I'm a part of it. Like without getting hit, you know what I mean? But
No,
but
but
you know
you're
what I mean?
learning.
Yeah,
You're learning
yeah.
the lessons of it. You're learning the
Yeah,
poetry of it. You're
yeah.
learning the rhythm of it. The workout's the best workout you can have. But to me, boxing was always like the greatest metaphor for life. Like I always saw boxing because even from a young age, you know, I told you my dad was good friends with Emmanuel Stewart, the great trainer out of Detroit. Wow. He was a good friend. He would send the Kronk fighters. Excuse me, he would send them over to my dad. My dad used to like run an all men's health club before he was in the scrap business. He was like an athletic director.
Oh wow.
And it was a club where all these like who's who of Detroit, like
Yeah.
you know, like the mob guys and like the athletes, they all belonged to this place. So Emmanuel would send the Kronk fighters before Tommy Hearns was champion. He would send them to teach kids boxing lessons. So me and my brother were like 8 and 10 years old, and we were taking boxing lessons on a racquetball court, and we were just learning our footwork and jabs and right hands. And so from there, and so did my brother. We both were athletes. We just gravitated towards boxing. Plus, I had 2 uncles that were pro fighters. So boxing was just in our blood. And it was just, you know, I always saw boxing like it's life. Boxing.
is.
That's why every
Yeah.
great author, if
Yeah.
you really look, they've all written
Yeah.
about boxing. Norman Mailer's written about it. James Joyce wrote about boxing. All these, you know, everybody's
I
written
remember
about
you
boxing.
told me that when I joined, and you were like, "You watch it. You go. This is just going to help your comedy. It's going to help your life. It's going to help." And you said that. I remember you were saying like, "There's so many stories," and I was like, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. And I was like, "Stories? What does he mean stories? How much?" And then you start like, "Wow!" Like I thought you just meant like Rocky and movies, but no.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever go on like. You know, you look up some of the like Box Rec or whatever. I'll look up some fighter. Okay, you know what I looked up? I looked up Mike Tyson. I was curious to know like his last fight. Like, okay, everyone likes to see when people are winning, but I'm like, what was it like his last fight? And I looked it up, and I was cross-referencing some research, and just that story alone, you know, like he
was
he
that
just-
when Lennox beat him, or
I think it was he lost to this white guy named Kevin McBride, I think, and he basically. He just sat down on a stool and wouldn't come out again. It was like the 6th or 7th ring.
Tyson is, and I always say this, like boxers have the richest history. They just have rich lives. Their lives are full of like tragedy and story and drama, and it's why you see so many movies about boxers. It just is the way it is. You grow up in a fighting environment, your life is going to be full of fucking turmoil. And so Tyson, I read his book called Fire and Fear that Jose Torres wrote. And you see his life. I mean, he didn't. It's so crazy that he ended up broke and in this position that he ended up in and going to jail because his early years were setting him up for that. And he almost was strong enough, like he almost was able to like stay off the path of prison. But if you read him as a kid. He was mugging people, robbing people. Everybody was getting, everyone had a gun. People were getting shot. He was going over to schools during a fight, shooting a pistol into a crowd, not knowing who got shot, taking off. And he also just happened to be a freak of nature. You know what I mean? He was 5'11", 190 when he was 12 years old. And he was fast. So he was a physical freak of nature. So it was a perfect storm for him to become the heavyweight champ. But I'm totally fascinated with Tyson.
Yeah.
I followed his whole career, but he was.
You'd recommend that book?
Oh, Fire and Fear is a great book.
Because I go to the
It's
bookstore.
authentic.
There's different Mike Tyson books, but this is the one.
No, this is Jose Torres, who,
Okay.
along with Custy Amato, trained Tyson in his very early years. Jose was a world champion, or he was a fighter himself.
Yeah.
And he knew Tyson better than anyone. And the stories in that book, it's gonna blow your mind.
I love it.
Because Tyson, he just had enough of a screw loose as a kid.
Yeah. When you watch those the footage of when he was in his like early days, like the teens and the 20s, that bobbing and weaving where he would come towards you, it's just like so fast and so dangerous and so quick.
No, he had deadly speed, deadly power. What people don't talk about a lot is his leg power. So his legs, Mike Tyson could never wear regular pants. He just couldn't fit in them. They didn't make pants for him. It was either had to wear like the balloon sweatpants or get like tailored fit pants once he had money.
Yeah.
But his legs were the size of our bodies.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him. He was a menacing character. He grew up around real thugs. Like most of his friends are dead. The others are in prison. bad dudes, you know what I mean, for real. And he was a street dude. But I remember meeting him one time. I was in the lobby of Caesar's Palace when I was like 18 years old or 19. I was out there for like a Tommy Hearns fight from Detroit. And I was a huge Tyson fanatic. I was like, I hadn't read about him. I just was like a fan of his style.
Yeah.
And I see him coming towards me in the lobby, and he's kind of like drunk or something. I can see he's like wobbling, and he's talking crazy like with his two friends.
Yep.
And he comes right up on, like right close to me, and I was like, "Hey, Mike, I'm just so happy to meet you." I like put out my hand, and he like with his thick ass heavyweight champion Paul, he like kind of slaps me in the chest a little bit, like doom. You know what I mean? Like one of those.
Like a good thing.
Just like a, hey,
all right then, champ.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Bam.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking Mike Tyson could just slap the head off my shoulders if he wanted right now, because that's the kind of mood he seems like he's in. And there's nothing I could do about it. Like, he is a very powerful, menacing dude. And 2 minutes later, he was starting a fight in the lobby of the hotel with some other heavyweights. And he said to Michael Dokes, I remember, I'll never forget, and Dokes was already past his prime. And maybe maybe something happened where Dokes didn't want to fight Tyson. There was like a money thing, but he was like, "What's up? What's up? You got a problem? I'll get you right now." And boom, he like all of a sudden there was like 7-on-7 and they didn't go at it, but it was like giant.
It was almost there.
Heavyweight caliber fighters about to fight each other.
Just lions.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just 14 lions in the Caesar's Palace lobby. And I was just so happy to have met Mike Tyson that the whole day I was just like on cloud 9. Totally.
Yeah. You know
but
what? The only thing I can relate to that is as far as that, I know what you're talking about, the strength. He may listen to this. I don't know. It's I'm friends with Gerald Washington, the heavyweight, and you know, he fought for the title with Deontay Wilder, lost. The next one lost, but then his most recent fight against Surefire, he won, and it was great to see him come out because he didn't. Usually, like, he would kind of wait a little bit, but as soon as it went ding, 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 I mean, he's 6'7", 230, and he just, I think those were his stats, and he just came out and he was like, right, left, right, and it just, and
he came out and attacked.
Yeah, right away, pop, 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 right, left, right, and then, oh my God, it was great because I ran into him real quick at the boxing gym. I was gonna tell you, I saw him last Friday, and I go, and he's gonna do this for me. I'm gonna get him on the podcast, and I go, dude, I'd love to like have the camera here, just to show people what it looks like to see you coming across it, ding, 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 like coming toward you, and then just like, I go, don't hurt my camera though, but you know what I mean? Like, people,
terrifying.
Yes, because we're seeing it on TV, we're home, but I mean, just to have this person come towards you and then right, left, right, and he's so strong and like
bad intentions.
Yeah, bad intentions. Yeah, because even when he was kind of playing around like that, you know, he kind of, and it's he like when he taps you, it's like it's just
it's a different thing.
These people have they
another
train
level
like that,
of
and
strength,
and their arms are like pipes, like solid. Like, even when they're not trying to hurt you, they're just like tapping you and shit. You know.
Did he have a different trainer for the last fight than he did before, or no?
Different trainer, yes.
He did?
Yeah.
And I asked that because you said that his style changed a little bit and he attacked. That means his trainer was probably of the mentality of get out there and attack. You've got all the skills.
And let's show people what
you've been feeling your opponent out too much.
Yeah.
And some trainers, I had a trainer when I boxed in Tucson, Arizona, Tony Ayala Sr., whose son Tony Jr. was a week away from a title fight. Famous story where he went to prison for like 20 years after breaking into a house and, you know, raping. It was a terrible story. But his dad was my trainer. His dad trained like Jesse Benavidez, Ray Medell. Like, he had some champions. He trained me while I was in college. Point being, his whole mentality of training style was attack, attack, attack. Don't wait, don't fit, just go, shake everybody up, throw the rhythm off. And if you've got the skills like your boy, like he sounds like he's got, I mean, obviously he's world class.
Yeah.
Even if he's losing at the top of the game, I feel like he's going to get another shot at the title because they know he's top 10 type of guy. So those dudes stay up in there.
I wish I knew the quote. I forget what it was, but it was something like, because I was talking to Buddy McGirt about that and about Gerald, and Buddy goes, one of these famous guys, I forget who it is. It was another, he goes, it was a heavyweight who's in his 50s, I think, or 60s maybe, probably 50s. I forget who it was.
Like a Mike Weaver or like a.
It was a name that I knew, but it was
Ken Norton Jr.
It was someone like that.
Was he old school?
Yeah, it was an old school guy, probably in his 50s, 50 years old, in his 50s.
Could be Ray Mercer.
It was a different name, but it was somebody like that. I forget who it was, but he made I guess according to Buddy, he made a little joke with Gerald. He's like, man, if I had your body, I'd still be fighting.
So Gerald's got a physical, great reach. Does he have the same reach as Deontay Wilder? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it's
He's
up there,
6'7"?
I believe so. He is. I know he's 6'7".
I predict good things for him.
He was in the Navy.
Yeah.
He played football, UFC. I guess his story is pretty wild, too. I guess he wasn't even – I was watching it on YouTube one night and when he got to fight Deontay Wilder. And it was like
he was a football player.
But that's the thing. He wasn't even really he was so like he went to community college. I could be telling the wrong story. I don't want to. But if it's on YouTube, it's. But he was like, and the guy was like, "Do you ever play football?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's like in the street, maybe church parking lot, that kind of thing." He goes, "No, you got to play." And so I guess like the coach would even tell him like, "Here's what you got to do," da, da, da. You know, because he was just like this natural athlete who worked out, but like.
There's a whole. I feel like there's like a whole phenomenon happening with natural athletes that are becoming professional boxers. And it's funny because for the longest time I didn't want to give it up to those guys, and I didn't want to give it up to Deontay Wilder, you know, because I felt like I just didn't want to give it up to him because I could see like the little bit of the flaws in his game.
Yeah.
But then when he fought, I think it was Ruiz. Is that who it was? Ruiz, who he beat, but who had him
Dominic something Brazil.
His last fight that he won a knockout, that dude had him knocked down and had him hurt and had him done. Because Deontay's got that chin that is suspect.
Yeah.
But Deontay came back and put a stomping on a fighter who comes from Cuba who's been fighting since he's 7 years old. So I got to give it up to Deontay Wilder when I didn't want to give it up to these guys who didn't start boxing until college, basically.
Yeah.
Because boxing, you can tell a boxer. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but I'm just saying, like, but you can tell a fighter who's been fighting since he's 7 years old, and you can tell a boxer who's been fighting since college. The 7 kid that came up at 7, every punch it just looks professional.
Yeah.
So Deontay's got the professional athlete body, strength, everything, speed. But some of his punches, you know, they'll come looping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a kid who learned at 7 years old, you rarely will ever see him throw like something wild that's like, you know, just praying.
Oh, I see it all the time. I follow people on Instagram, and there's a guy. His name is James the Beast Wilson on Instagram. I don't know how he is as a boxer. He looks amazing. Yeah. I think he's from the kickboxing world or something like that.
Okay.
But he trains his children, like he puts them on video, and you see these kids, same thing when they're hitting mitts and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, these guys have technicians, you know.
Yep.
I've been practicing this thing lately, going from a jab to a left hook, because it's a weird movement to go from left.
Yeah.
Because you got to like turn your hip and your foot and like.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very rhythmic move. It's not. Because when you first learn it, you wouldn't think it's a natural thing to do, like bang, bang. Because it's not a natural thing. The natural move is to go jab, right hand, or jab, duck, uppercut. You know what I mean? Like whatever natural way your body moves. But it's an oddly popular combination.
It looks kind of cool, too.
It is cool.
Right?
And when it works, it surprises you.
Yeah.
Like you're surprised that it worked. Like sometimes you got to just have faith in a trainer. Like I remember like the first time I wasn't really moving my feet too well to the right, you know, when I was trying to like avoid a jab or whatever. And my trainer kept yelling at me to do it while I was sparring. And finally I remember I was like, you know, in my mind, I'm like, all right, fine. I'm just going to listen to him, you know, because I was just like, fine, I'll just listen to him.
I think that's a common problem. I've talked to some trainers. The fighters are like, I know, you know, yeah.
They think that it's because they're in there. I'm in there.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sparring. I'm thinking he doesn't know. But I did it, and I landed a right hand, and I dropped a kid like right away. And
did it feel good?
It felt great. And it was really strange because it didn't feel like, you know, I didn't feel like I like threw the hardest punch ever, but it was just like the perfect angle. My feet were planted. He called, you know, he told I did it the right way. It's like one step, bang. And I don't know, man. Boxing to me is just, I could talk all day about it forever. I just love it.
We were talking about liver shots, you know, like because when you get a shot to the liver,
the air flies right out of your body.
They call it he goes, the one hitter shitter.
Yeah, you could.
Where you get hit,
you could.
It's like,
you could.
What's up, Bobby? How are you, man?
Yeah, you could shit yourself.
Yeah, it's just like and there was what's one of the boxers? He's from Jamaica. He comes to the gym. Nathan. I forget his last name.
Is he a contender? Is he up there?
I don't know. I know. He showed me one of the fights on YouTube where he I think it was his first fight on television, and round 1 is when he hit the guy with the liver shot. The guy went down and he won. I go, dude, come on, you must have felt amazing. You know, your first fight on TV, First round, boom, liver shot.
Oh, he must have loved that.
Oh yeah, come on.
It's soft on the hands, and it does major damage.
It's like a comic having a killer set, like standing ovation, right? First time on
For
TV.
sure.
Like,
I'm trying to think of Alexis Arguello fought Aaron Pryor for what might have been the greatest fight of all time. But Alexis Arguello, who's a legend, rest in peace, he always said that the body was his secret weapon. Like the way he kept his stomach tight, his sit-up, do 5,000 sit-ups a day.
do more of that.
You know what I mean? Kept his core strong.
Dude, I need to do more. Are you big into the abs workouts?
You know what? I never was. I hated doing sit-ups in training. I hated the medicine ball against my stomach. But
Yeah.
it's so key to everything. And when they say to like engage your core,
Yeah.
like that's like something they'll tell you in yoga.
Yeah.
But if you learn to do that and you keep it tight for the fight and you learn to
Yeah.
breathe at the same time, it's a game changer.
Bring your belly button to your spine or whatever.
For real. So when you do that,
Yeah.
what it does is it creates a strong, your center super strong, so the rest of your body can just be like a whip. You know what I mean? Your hands are just like,
Ooh,
you know,
I like that.
You're just.
Oh, I'm
you're
picturing
just
that
solid,
thing outside the car dealership. Those things with the hands that are like whips.
Totally. So you got to keep
Yeah.
your core strong from the get go.
Yeah.
That's old Bruce Lee stuff too. Like Bruce, like old karate guys.
Or it's like a spring, bing, bing. Yeah.
Before you fight, you breathe in, you tighten it, boom, you go to war. You know, if you come out with a loose belly, it's done.
I know. I remember a couple of years ago I did an uppercut and I didn't tighten my core and my back hurt for 3 days because I went like that and I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I was like, I can't do that.
It's funny, man. If you got to get with trainers that know what they're doing. You got to get around people that know what they're doing. This is LA. There's so many like Hollywood boxers.
I know.
Like, bro, this guy wanted to hold pads for me a little while ago, and he like held pads for me, and he like hurt my shoulder because he didn't know how to catch punches properly, and it threw my body out. It actually threw my body, like my spine was like out of alignment for like a month. You know what I mean?
Shit. Yeah.
And it's literally because you got to know what you're doing, and everybody like. There's some people who are kickboxers. Well, that's great. But if you don't know how to catch pads, catch punches by like a professional boxing trainer, get out of here. Stop
true,
doing
'cause-
it. You're going to hurt somebody.
I remember one time I was at the boxing gym and there was a guy who's an amateur getting ready to go pro, and so he would give me like a little bit of advice and stuff, and I would be like, how do I do it again? And he couldn't relate. It worked for him, but he didn't know how to teach.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be like, "You just gotta get strong with it, man. Just get strong with it."
That's
I go,
not
what does that
a
mean?
direction.
I go, he goes, just get strong with it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, just make it strong. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
what that really means. Like,
No.
you need someone that can verbalize, like,
Absolutely.
do this, do that, whatever,
Not everybody can teach it, even if they can do it. Not everyone's a teacher.
know.
And when you get a good teacher, it's beautiful. Like I remember like this trainer in I think it was still when I was in Tucson. I was boxing out of Kronk West, and it was Kronk is famous for Detroit. Tommy Hearns, Milt McCrory, Jimmy Paul, all champions coming out of there. Holyfield from Atlanta, but Emmanuel trained them. But they had a Kronk West gym in Tucson, Arizona, and so my trainer after Ayala was gone. My trainer, I remember, he told me just this one thing that I had a hard time believing. And he was like, at the end of your right hand, just turn it over. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I always like to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm like,
At the end of my right hand, he was
Yeah.
like, just drop the anchor. And it didn't feel natural, so I was kind of didn't believe him.
because you want to go like this, but he's saying like,
He's like,
do
give it a little extra twist.
like an extra.
And just put that back into it, like you're back into it, and it adds like 20 pounds of pressure
Wow.
to your punch, and it really does change. It changes you. I've dropped it on people before, and it's like you don't even have to throw it hard, but it's effective. It's effective.
I was
man.
doing jabs against the bag today, and I was feeling it on my right leg because I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong, but I
No,
think
you're
I'm
doing.
doing
You should be doing it right. I mean, you should be stepping in with your right
Yeah.
foot.
yeah, or left foot because I'm jabbing with like this.
No, but you should be pushing off with your right.
yeah, it was. So I think
Good.
that's probably why I felt it in my thigh because I'm like trying
That's
to like.
good. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, you're throwing it right. You
It's
got
kind of funny. I like cracking jokes too with the boxers. Like, like sometimes I just get these funny ideas where I'm like, because I was hitting the bag, obviously not that hard, but it was kind of, when you hit it, you ever hit a good smack and it's real loud
It's the
and it
best.
feels loud. I'm like,
You
hey,
look around, see who's
hey.
looking.
No one's looking.
Yeah.
Not when I do it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, can somebody give me some earplugs? This shit's hurting my eardrums. Pow, pow.
Boxers are fun, man. Like
They're fun,
some
right?
boxers are great.
These
dudes.
pros are in there sparring. The Russians come in. These guys, the Russian fighters. There's guys from Ireland. It's crazy from around the world, especially LA, right? Because this is one of the meccas, I
Meccas,
guess.
for
Like,
sure.
And so, because there and they joke around. Sometimes they'll see me and they'll be like, "Hey D, when you getting in there?" I'm like, nah, maybe Friday." Like
I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
I get in there Friday, and I walk in, and everyone who knows me knows what I look like. So it's funny. I walk in, they're like, "What's up, black man? How you doing, black man?"
Have you been in the ring and sparred at all? Like, have you kind of mixed it up a little bit?
Not really. Although it was funny. Not really mix it up. It's always been like baby steps. The second week I was in there. The second week, almost hardly any training. The coach I was working with, and I still work with him sometimes. Shout out to Coach Dan Ward. He, great guy, elementary level of like how to do this, how to do that.
Yeah.
He used to spar in the 70s, back when people get ready to fight Muhammad Ali. Like they sent him to the Philippines, sent him to Africa.
Yep.
He's great. Anyway, so he would be like, I remember he put the headgear on me and he goes, "Today we're going to do a trust exercise." And I was thinking, I literally thought he was going to like have me cross my arms and fall backwards into his arms. Like, "I trust you."
Yeah.
But he's like, he goes, "I want you to get up there just one round." And he goes, and it was with the guy who's really good. He goes, "He's not going to hurt you, but I just want you to know what it feels like." And I'm, dude, I panicked. I'm breathing. I'm hyperventilated.
For sure.
You're getting in a circle trying to get away from the person. And it's just like, man, I realized I wasn't doing any of that shit they tell you. You're supposed to relax. You're supposed to breathe.
Yep.
You're supposed to learn how to parry those shots. I didn't do any of that. And I remember like the bell goes ding. There's like 30 seconds left. And I go, 30 seconds left. And he goes, "Time flies when you're having fun."
And you didn't even throw any punches or get hit, and you were
I don't
panicking.
know what the fuck it was. Oh no, was it that time? There was another time, maybe like 4 months later. Yeah, because I went back. I got a little bit better next time. Well, better with the breathing and not freaking out.
Right.
And I think I did punch the guy, but not hard. You know how it is. Like one goes through, but it's just it's like that.
Right. I had the same experience. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say this though. Like one punch went through, but barely. And my immediate reaction is I go, "Sorry." And he goes, because it's just weird to punch another human being in the face that you literally just met.
No, it's
unless you're fighting them and you're angry, I guess. But
it takes a long time to get to be comfortable sparring. But I had the same experience you had, but it was the only similarity was the introduction. Mike, go in there. He's not going to do anything to you. Relax. But it was with James Toney. Oh shit. So I went in there with James Toney.
Was it at Wild Card?
No, this was in Detroit.
Oh shit.
This is years ago, man.
Wow.
This is like 16, 17 years ago. I was in Detroit. I was hitting the bag. James was sparring. He was getting ready to fight somebody. He was already champion. He got the belt from Michael Nunn. And I was in there working out, and he was about to fight this guy, Murky Sosa, who I was kind of built like. And so Bill Miller was his trainer, and he said, "Mike, go in there. James is just going to work on his defense. Just his defense."
Oh.
And I went in there. I started moving around with James, and he literally sprung into action and hit me with a jab in the face, blasted my mouth out. Like, I wasn't, he hurt me, but he didn't, my face didn't explode.
Did you have mouth gear in?
I had mouthpiece, headgear, everything. And I was basically just thinking, like, I'm mad at the trainer now for suckering me into this because James is not working on his defense at all.
Right.
Then he hit me with another jab. He was kind of in that peekaboo style. Bam. Hit me
yeah.
in my mouth. All of a sudden I tasted blood, but there was no blood. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, my brain's probably bleeding into my mouth.
Oh, I would think that too.
So, but then...
Are you supposed to punch him back?
I did punch him back.
Yeah.
So what happened was I started, this really crazy, weird thing comes over you. Even though I knew James was a world champion and I was way out of my league, I was just an amateur boxer. And I got calm after he hit me the second time, and we just started going at it a little bit, and I started to feel good, you know what I mean? And I hit him a few times, and he came back and hit me, and I started to mix it up with James Toney, and it felt good. Every time he hit me in the face, it was pretty damn bad because he was a champion hitting an amateur. I felt the difference in his punching power. I felt the difference in the weight of his head. I remember hitting him in the head and literally thinking, this is a champion's head. Yeah. Like, this head feels different. Like, it was just a heavy head. Yeah. His head was like a bowling ball.
Wow.
And I was going, we were going at it. And I was supposed to go with him for 3 rounds. And I quit after 2 rounds.
Yeah, I would too.
I just didn't want to do it anymore.
You went 2 rounds?
Yeah. I didn't want.
That's great. I mean, the round ended and you weren't like, yeah, you double-crossed me, coach. You were
I just looked over. Yeah. I looked over at Mr. Miller like, I thought you said he wasn't going to punch me. I thought he's just working on his defense. What's going on over here? But James, he was a mean guy like that. He was mean like that.
I'd heard, because somebody told me once they go, yeah, man, at Wild Card, it could be that sometimes, I think it was James that he said that he'd see somebody hitting a bag, but hey, you want to go up there and do some work with me? And then they go, yeah,
He'll destroy you.
Yeah.
I saw James knock out sparring partners and say, "Give me the next guy." I saw him do it to guys that were much lighter than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the knock on James is he was supremely athletic, superb athlete, amazing talent. He did not have knockout power. He didn't have big, heavy hands. He had light little hands, and so that was kind of the knock on him. Eventually, he had a good run. You know, he took the title from Michael Nunn. I think he defended his championship a decent number of times. James had an eating problem. You know what I mean? He literally went right to McDonald's. He would gain 20 pounds and try to lose 20 pounds. He was always like on some like grapefruit diet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the opposite of Mayweather. Mayweather's whole philosophy is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. James was like, get ready, then get out of shape.
No.
Get ready, get out
Yeah.
of shape. So his body got tortured. And you can't, you don't have a good long career like that.
I heard Mayweather would run in jeans like after the clubs closed, just be out there running in jeans.
For sure. For sure.
It's like,
he's a machine.
yeah.
So love him or hate
Let me
him.
ask you, did you learning that box? Okay, because I find it seems like most boxers, like pro boxers, are like, it seems like they're disciplined. Did you ever have to use? But you're not a pro boxer. You're a guy who knows how to box and been around it. Did you ever have to? You ever have to use your boxing skills or?
Yeah.
Or did you ever get? Let's say you have, you know what I mean, where you get a little. Like, you know what, I know how to fight, and this guy's pissing me off. And,
I got in a few scraps in college. Like in college, I always had like a young looking innocent face that dudes like to think that they could just, like guys would talk to me like they could 100% whoop my ass. And they would talk to me like, yo, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fuck you up so bad. And I'm thinking, do I just look like that much of a pussy that this guy's that confident? And like part of me is like, maybe he knows some extra karate, like extra shit that I've never seen before, where he's this confident because he's never seen me. I've never seen him. And usually it would come down to they'd be like a wild, mean drunk or whatever. And I would just tag him with 2 quick shots and the fight would pretty much be over. But I got in a few fights
when
in
you
college.
do a quick shot, like in real life, like back then, would you, do you do like a left, right, like a jab, right?
Whatever I got to do. Like, some older dude in a bar one time in Detroit. I was already out of college. And, he was like bumping into me noticeably while I was talking to this girl. So obviously he wanted to talk to her.
Jackass,
he kept bumping in. I turned around. I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, F you, fuck you, drunk. I'm like trying to be cool, blah, blah, blah. He's like, come on outside. You got a problem. Boom, we go outside, drunk guy in suit runs at me, attacks me. My old trainer was in my head. I took one quick, simple step to the right. Bam,
That's so cool.
Blasted him. He was down on the ground. He got back up, ran at me. Boom, a jab. His face exploded. And he was all fucked up and bloody. So I kind of left the scene.
Yeah.
Because he was like standing there covered in blood. I left the scene. I went around back of the building. I sat there waiting for my friends to come get me because I was still, just waiting on my buddies. And I was sitting on a curb in the back of a bar, and the police showed up, and they arrested me. And so I got arrested, and the dude got arrested too. So they took both of us to jail, and, I was kind of crazy. Like, it took a lot for me to snap, but when I snapped, it was like I was gone.
You couldn't say self-defense or something, or
I don't know why they arrested me at the same time. They probably saw him and were like, "Where's the guy?" And then he was like, "He's in the back." Meanwhile, they don't know that I didn't start the fight.
Yeah. When you say step to the right, so you step to the right and then hit him with the left, or do you hit him?
No,
with
I stepped to the right and hit him with the right.
You step to the right and you hit him with your strong arm.
Yeah,
your strong
he just
hand.
came to the right. He was running at me like a bull. One step to the right, planted the foot, dropped the anchor. He was down. It was just simple. He didn't touch me. He didn't even touch me. And I'd gotten a few scraps like that in my life. But I never start them. I've never started a fight.
We did a comedy show. Usually comedy clubs, you're at a theater or a comedy club or something where it's like there's like a sense of order. It can get wacky when you gets a little loose when you get outside of that,
For sure.
We were doing comedy in Burbank over by the bowling alley. There's this cool Mexican restaurant right by Pickwick Bowling. And I think they've only done it for maybe a month. I don't even know if they're doing it anymore. But the one night that I was there was some guy at the bar, this big guy. He just kept heckling the comedians, being really rude, and then Gary Cannon just ripped into him. It's so funny. He just roasted him. He's like, da-da-da. He's like, hey, look, it's the star of I, Tonya, because the guy had a mullet. And, it was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
And the guy was just, He'd try to say something, and then nobody would laugh, and then because there's more comics in there, and his shit
Was he
wasn't funny. Drunk, yeah. And honestly, he was probably here's the funny part. He was probably like late 50s. So I'm not saying that that's weak, but I'm just saying it's not like. But anyways,
it's too old to be harassing comedians.
But what happened was afterwards, Gary gets off stage, goes to the back of the room. I see that guy get up and start to go over there. I'm like,
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I got to do something. I got to tell Gary, hey, go find an exit, do something. And in case something happens, I'm like, should I go to the gym every day, hitting a bag? Maybe I got to do something. I can't let this go down. And then the guy came over there and he was like, hey, that was real funny, man. And he goes, I just wanted to, you know, and he kind of made up or whatever, but we didn't know where he was coming from. You know, well, what's going on here? This could be weird.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, that was weird. And then so the next day, but it was a little bit more intense. The story's longer, but that's the idea. And he was a weird guy, but he was just, you could tell he's just lonely, whatever. The next day when I went to the boxing gym, I told a couple of trainers what had happened, and they like to fuck with me. They're like, shout out to John Pullman. I love you, John. John's like, hey, Darren, what would you have done? What would you have done, Darren? And I go, you know what? I didn't really, I mainly jump rope here at the gym. What would I have done?
By the way, you show a good little footwork up front. It might scare the guy. Like if you just show a quick, some impressive footwork.
Yeah, like almost, not like the crane, like from the Karate Kid, but do some impressive footwork.
Yeah.
Or like,
jump rope style. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get all out of breath. He steps to the right and does that thing. He drops an anchor on me. No, but so I go, somebody give me that mic cord. I can use it like a jump rope. But so I go, I really don't know what would I do? I go, and I asked Buddy McGirt, I go, Buddy, what would you? I go, listen, did you ever get into a street fight? And he told me, he goes, no, but see, he was too busy fighting for real.
He fought at a high level every day. He can't be in a street fight.
He had 80 fights, and I looked him up. It was like 28 wins in a row. I mean,
yeah, he was
and then
a legend.
it was like more wins. It's like, but so I asked Buddy, I go, what should I do? Any advice? And he goes, you throw a feint and then you hit him hard with the real punch. He said to do a feint and then do a punch.
That's amazing that he said that, because
I don't know.
That's what got me in trouble in my famous scrap. It's exactly what I did. I feinted and I threw a real punch.
So when you feint, they go to block it and then they leave themselves exposed.
Yeah, you feint. You know, a feint is like, you know, I'm leaving the scene almost, but like, you know what I mean? Like I feinted like he was gonna hit me, and then I dropped the hammer.
What happened with that one? Can you tell? You could change some names and locations. You told me this story one night on the patio at the Comedy Store. It was amazing.
Well, I always say that like comedy's a dangerous sport,
yeah,
because we're alone on stage. We are like, I always equate comedy to like being a free
just making sure
free radical in the body.
Batteries are
anything
going.
can happen
Yes,
to it.
Yeah,
It attaches to bad things. We're free out. We're out there on the road. So I was on the road, and I'll try to make it a shorter. It's a serious story, and it goes bad quick. Bottom line is, I was on the road somewhere. I was doing a show. A fight broke out in front of me, and instead of letting it happen and just letting it go, I tried to break it up. And when I went to break up the fight, there was a guy headbutted another guy in the fight.
Oh.
So the dude that did the headbutting, I went in front of him, and I was like, hey, man, calm down. Like, relax. What are you doing? I was the comedian.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and they'd already seen you perform?
yeah, I was just coming off stage. I was on stage. A fight broke out. I put the mic down and went to break it up right in the front, like right in front of me. And so I went to the dude. I was like, calm down, man. We're just having, we're doing comedy. And he's like, fuck you, bro. You know who I am. I'll kill you, bro. And he was like waving his hand over my head. And he was like seething mad. So in my mind, I was like, yo, this is the type of dude, he just headbutted somebody. Seems like he might bite my face off.
Yeah.
So basically,
and there's no security trying to.
No security. Nobody's coming at it, and he waves over my head one more time. So in my mind, I'm like, if I just take this dude out, security will take him outside after I knock him out, and they'll handle it. And so he threw one more kind of feint type of thing over my head. I faked like I was going back. Bam, came back with the right hand. I dropped the right hand on him. Turned out he was a real gangster. And I didn't know who he was, and I hit him, and it all went bad from there. And so I hit the dude, and he was laid out, and I'm a little uncomfortable telling the story, only because I don't want, it became serious. Like,
yeah.
organized crime division started visiting me. You know what I mean? People like it got word spread through the underground, and we're good now. Like whatever, I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story, but it's all good now and it's done. But
so maybe that explains why security didn't break it up right away. They're like, that's
he
whatever.
basically ran the place, but I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen him before. So I hit the dude. He hits the ground. I get on top of him. I'm like, yo, bro, I run this place.
Oh, no.
All right. He looks at me. He's like, I own this place. I was like, oh, my God. So as soon as he said that, I remembered hearing stories about the owner that was like a connected guy. And you don't fuck with the owner of this place. And so that happened. My boys who were there dragged me out of the pile. I ran out into the streets. His crew was there, you know, loaded up with guns. They fucking had their guns. They were coming out to get me. They wanted to get me that night. I ran through a neighborhood. I popped out into the street. I got into a car. I got into a taxi. I went to a place where I hid out for a few hours. My boys who were still at the comedy club, they were calling me going, yo, Young, you got to leave town for a while.
That sucks because they already know your name. They're going to pay you, right? So if you perform that, they know your name. They
knows
know
my name. I'd been there before.
And they know your financial stuff. Like, hey, here's
they know everything.
Oh, yeah.
They know
you're running, but what?
And I'm the easiest person to find. I'm a comedian.
They could just
you know where I'm going to be next Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'm easy to find. So bottom line is this all goes down. You know what I mean? I beat him up. I hurt him.
Yeah.
I ruptured his eardrum. Turns out he was hurt.
Oh, you gave him like a right hook or something? Or
I hit him with a right hook. Caught him in the ear, which I did not know I was doing. I was just trying to get him in the jaw to just hit. I was trying to hit him on the button to put him out. Just get him out. And so, long story short, this happened on a midweek day. And then I got word through the underground, you know, you get involved with those people, you're going to get a message, right? So I got a message that I had to go into a sit down on the following Monday, 5 days later. So they wanted me to come in and apologize. But I knew that this was not a guy that you just apologize to, anything could happen. So I called some people that I knew, you know, because when you're in comedy, you know, you meet people and, you know, I'm from Detroit, so I got connections in Detroit of people that can protect you, and you know, for a price, they get your back. It's a whole world out there. It's not the nice Mike. There's Mike Young, and there's Young Mike. You know what I mean?
Like
Mike
that.
Young is who you've known for years, but there's a young Mike who is wearing this gold chain, who knows people that can help.
There's Darren Carter and there's Carter Darren. It's the same fucking guy.
Yo, so
there's the party starter and then my guest here, the party ender.
No, I mean, listen, I hadn't been in a fight in 10 years.
Yeah.
And the one punch I throw turns out to be a bad situation. So the bottom line is, I go into the situation.
By the way, it's funny because you just looked over your shoulder like this guy's gonna appear. Hey, you guys talking about me?
Yo, these people they don't play games.
I'll let you know. If someone walks in the room, I'll raise my hand or something. We're good.
Bottom line is, I go in to sit down. I call my godfather in Detroit, who's a connected guy. I tell him what happened. I tell my brother what happened. I tell a few other people what happened.
Yeah.
I said, what's the protocol here? I said, I made a mistake. I hit the wrong guy. I started sending the guy gifts. I was sending him shirts, writing him letters, sending chalk.
Hell yeah.
I was doing all kinds of things to apologize because I truly there was a moment. There's always a moment in a fight where you can walk away. And there was a moment that I feel like I could have gotten out of there. I could have walked away. But something in me was like, this dude could bite my face off, and I'm scared. When I'm scared, it's like when you read Fire and Fear by Mike Tyson's book.
Yeah.
His whole reason for destroying people was fear. He was afraid to get hurt. I'm like that. I'm afraid. I'm a fearful dude. I'm not like a tough guy who likes to get punched. I am a scared when it comes to fighting. That's why I developed boxing skills. I don't like getting fucked with. So that happens.
And you were like, just, hey, I don't want, because you're thinking, I don't want to meet on Monday. I don't want to meet on Monday.
I'm thinking, I don't want to meet on Monday. How can
ever
we
meet you
squash
again.
this?
Yeah.
So
can I ask you a question? What is something a person, I don't even know what gift I would give. Like, I have no idea.
You're not gonna believe it. I sent
cigars.
I went to University of Arizona, so I sent like University of Arizona sweaters. I sent like dope sweatshirts and T-shirts.
Yeah.
Maybe a hat. I was just sending gifts every day for the next 4 days with
I
an
would
apology
too.
note.
I'd be like, here's some gift cards to like your favorite coffee, Starbucks, whatever.
So I was apologizing everywhere.
Yeah.
So when you put this podcast out, just don't put this in like the hashtag. Like don't say Mike Young tells a crazy story, because I don't want. There's people that know these people in the world. So bottom line
I'll just say it was writer, director.
Yeah. say whatever you want, but anything
yeah,
but this.
anything but this part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let them catch this on the fly.
yeah.
So Monday's coming, and everyone's on notice as to that I got to go have a sit down. So one of my boys who's a bookie, who knows these people from his world, he comes with me. He's going to come with me. He the whole time we're like, we can't believe we got this to a sit down. This is the type of guy that doesn't sit down.
So I'm sorry, I got nervous right there. So my mind drifted. Okay, so I'm back. I'm back in the story. So you're like, okay, I'll do the thing on Monday.
Yeah, I'm going to face the music.
But let me bring a friend. Did you tell him that?
My friend knew him.
Oh,
so he was going to come with me
good.
anyway.
That's
He
good.
knew
That's
him.
Good. That's good.
I thought it was good. So he knew him. So we go in. We're getting ready to go on Monday. And we go to the place for the sit down, and my godfather in Detroit knows where I'm at. My brother knows where I'm at. Everyone knows where I'm at. And I had some people that are like kind of in that world, in the organized crime world, who I knew from a different part of my life. I told them where I was going, and when they heard what was going on, they were like, "Yo, we'll go with you. We'll stop. We'll squash this whole thing." They offered to like protect me and like make sure it nothing happened. I decided on my own I'm gonna face the music because if I hurt the guy, I don't give a fuck if Gotti comes in and and says you better apologize to and don't do anything to Mike Young.
Yeah.
This guy on some level, his ego is not gonna allow me to get away with this. So I just figured I'm gonna face the music. I'm gonna go for this sit down. So I walk into the place. And I go in, and the place it's locked. The front door's locked. So me and my boy go around back. We walk in the back. Right away, I see the dude who I hit. Right there. He's in like an Under Armour gear, like ready to go to work. And he's like, I'm apologizing. I'm like, yo, Jimmy, I'm so sorry. I'm apologizing, mumbling at this point, kind of nervous, and like my mind's going weird places. And so he goes, don't worry about it. I'll talk to you over here. And he aims me into like a bigger room, like half the size of this room. He goes, let's talk about it over here. So we go into the other room. I walk in, and there's like Italian music playing on a stereo, swear to God. I see like the treble bass red lights like going up and down. It's very light, playing lightly. It's dimly lit.
I hate places like that during the day. They're always weird because it looks like nighttime, but it's dayttime.
Yo, it's dimly lit, and I look around and I see two dudes, both about 6'5", 300-pound dudes with 9mm guns, and they're both holding 9mm in their hands.
So this sucks because you're not thinking, oh, they're just faking it, trying to scare me. You're thinking, no, these guys really are pissed off, and this isn't cool.
I'm thinking to myself, I cannot have my family hear that I got shot in the middle of the day in a situation like this. That's really what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking all this guy has to do is fucking lift the gun and I'm done. Yeah. So the first thought is that. My second thought was like a comedy thought, because they both had sunglasses on, and I'm like, what are you guys fake? It's daytime. It's hard we're inside, and it's dark, actually.
Yeah.
What's with sunglasses? Bad movie move. So that was like the comedy brain.
I saw a joke on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He goes, there's two types of people that wear sunglasses indoors: blind people and assholes.
And these were not blind people. So they look at me, and they got the guns, and it's such a bummer of a story. So the one dude puts the gun on my friend. The other dude puts the gun to me. He puts me in a booth. He sits me down. He slams a table up against me, so I can't move my hands.
So you're like pinned in the booth?
I'm pinned in a booth, fully pinned. Before that, my superhero brain went off too, where I was thinking like, maybe I could swoop the gun out of his hand when he gets close, and I could shoot my way out of this like the Wild West. Yeah. It was bad, man. And this story, I had major post-traumatic stress disorder from this thing. It was a very serious situation. And I guess the whole point of the whole story is that, like, don't ever fuck with anybody if it's not your fight. And also just don't use your boxing skills unless you absolutely, absolutely have to. And there was the moment I could have walked away, like I said, so I take responsibility. But they basically pinned me into the booth, and they went to work on me. And they blew me out. They, beat the shit out of me. I ended up with 27 stitches in the face, broken nose.
As it was happening, part of you was like, fuck it, maybe after this it'll be over with, though.
No, what I was thinking was I felt the first punch come from this side. I felt it on the left side of my jaw, and I literally thought to myself, wow, great punch. This guy definitely takes boxing somewhere. Like, it was such a heavy shot.
He dropped an anchor on me.
I mean, it was such a flat, heavy brick type shot that I thought, wow, this guy's got a great punch. And then everything after that, your adrenaline's flying. So everything after that felt like just a tic tac, just like ding, 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 like nothing. So they beat the shit out of me. They pull the table away when it's over. I kind of probably was unconscious for a moment because the next thing I kind of remember was kind of just coming to and like looking at my shirt that was covered in a river of blood. And I was feeling my limbs. I was like checking my limbs. And I was in my mind, I was like, oh man. I'm like, yo, I got him. I fucking got him. He has no idea I'm fine. I'm thinking I'm fine. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I'm fine.
Dude, that's like me when I was a kid getting a spanking, except this sounds worse.
It is worse. It's a real adult spanking. So I think I'm fine.
Yeah.
And long story short, they stand me up. They take my shirt, real gangster style. They say, give me your shirt. They take my shirt. They give me a shirt, a fresh new shirt, a beefy tee, brand new cotton. Shit. I put the shirt on, and the guy basically says, now get the fuck out of here. He goes, we're even. You ruptured my eardrum. I don't ever want to see you again. And as I
They're
was
probably trying to rupture your eardrum,
They
too.
for sure were, but he wasn't. He just didn't get it like that.
Yeah.
I got very lucky, man.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's spirit and angel was on my shoulder, and all the other people I know that are dead. I was supported by angels because I could have died. Like, they tried to get me good, and they got me good.
Thank
so
God
basically,
you,
they blew me out. I looked like the Elephant Man. I went right to emergency surgery. My boy drove me. The police showed up there.
You have to come up with a story, huh?
I did. I came up with a story. I said I got mugged. I got mugged on some street in that city. I was like, I got mugged. And they didn't believe me. They took a bunch of pictures of me. I stuck to my mugging story. They put me in a CAT scan unit to make sure I didn't have bleeding on my brain. No bleeding on the brain. Back into the emergency surgery, 27 stitches, like I said. My brother flew out from Detroit. Some people I knew, some bad people I knew started looking for everybody because they didn't hear from me.
But you're like, no, it's all good. We're not,
I shut everybody down.
Yeah.
When you're a comedian and you got a lot of love and people love you, even people who do bad things love you. You know what I mean? You meet people, Darren, on the road. I'm sure you've met gangsters on the road. I'm sure you've met, biker club members that love your comedy.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest things about stand-up is that you get love from people who will do things for you. So the long story of that is that everybody was coming to me. Like, I was like the accidental boss. You know what I mean? I was like an accidental mob boss. I was like, this is definitely my next movie, because I just basically said to everybody, it's over. It's done. I made a mistake. We're done. It's over.
Yeah.
It's even. It's over. And, the unfortunate length of, the long-term, effects of that were very heavy. You know what I mean? So I had I still have post-traumatic stress disorder from it. Things like, you see me looking over my shoulder while I'm telling the story. There's a 0% chance that people are coming here. 0. But I have, like, if I see a car I don't recognize where I live, that's where my mind goes.
Have you seen any of the people related to the story since then?
No, but like
that's good.
No, but like for like 6 months after that, I would get randomly visited by organized crime, by the local organized crime division of the town, and they would come at me because they heard about it because it was an informant in his world.
Or organized crime on the police side or the other side?
Organized crime on the police side.
Oh.
I don't want to say the city.
Don't.
But it's the organized crime division. Every city has it. It's the task force. So they come to you in plain clothes with a badge, and they basically were trying to get me to go against the guy. And they're like, we've been trying to get him for years. You're going to go against him. And I just kept saying, I got mugged. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And they came at me a lot, and it got nerve-wracking for me. I got very paranoid. It was very disturbing. Long story short, I'm great. Life's been great ever since then. I went on to, get back to work. I had to force my brain to go back into work mode because I had a hard time writing jokes. I wasn't finding anything funny after that for a while, like for real, like for like 3 years. I couldn't like find the funny.
When you would perform, you would just do stuff that you already knew was funny? Because every time I've seen you, you've done great.
Well, thank you. But for years, I was doing just my guaranteed go-to material. I wasn't breaking out new stuff. The fire was put out in me. Like, it really messed with me in a bad way. So, like, in a way, I knew I heard like a little follow-up. Like, I heard, he like couldn't fly for a long time because of his eardrum, which is terrible. It's a terrible thing, and I got no anger towards him anymore. And I don't think he has any anger towards me. It's like I look at that story, like I always equate it with like two people on the opposite ends of a desert, literally, and there's nobody else in the desert. and they're both walking, and they could walk any way they want to get to the other side, but they walked right into each other. It was just this storm that happened, and you know, it was just a story that I tell to really just to kind of like feel better and get it off my chest, because it still took a little therapy to talk it through. But when you're put in a position like that, you know, some people are like, yo, that's such a cool story, because there were like movie elements of it, you know, like when my godfather saw that I was hurt, I had a meeting with like 6, 70-year-old men that were highly connected in the world, and they were like, yo, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want this to be over. I just want peace. I don't want this anymore. Because they were like, Michael, if you're not good, we're not good, So it was like, it got really heavy and it got very serious. And thank God nothing ever happened after that. And I went on to make my movies, do my stand-up that I love.
Yeah.
I use it all as fuel for the fire. But it is probably my heaviest near-death experience.
That's awesome.
And boxing
Yeah.
actually worked
Yeah.
against me in that one.
Yeah.
Like most people who don't know how to, I don't know. Who knows what would have happened? But like, my stupid Detroit brain was like, yo, if I just catch him and put him out, security could take care of it. But it just backfired.
Like, oh, he pays the security. Yeah.
But, people in the boxing world, they know all those people. They know people like this all over the place, because organized crime's been involved in boxing since day one. So I would say 80% of the people in the fight game, like that at your gym, if this would have happened to them, they probably would have taken a different route other than the way a comedian goes.
Yeah.
They probably would have gone to war on some level. They wouldn't let it go probably, but it's not my style. I'm a lover. I love people. I got nothing bad. I made a mistake. He got me back. We're even.
You've had such a colorful life. I think, I know you. I heard one of your rap songs. Did you ever put a rap album out back in the day, or just a song? Or
yeah, I had a rap album
back when nobody was doing this. This is not like just people nowadays. You could do it on GarageBand. I mean, we're talking the real.
Yeah, no, I had a record deal with a company called Chattel Records out of Detroit. Went out before I did comedy. I was in a rap group called TKO. We sampled "Oh What a Night" by Frankie Valli.
Oh what a night.
Yeah. And we had a song on the radio, and we were doing shows like all over kind of Detroit, Midwest. It was like my dream. I loved hip hop, even in college. It was like a fanatic.
Were you doing it at the same time that like Kid Rock was doing it? Or did you ever see him? Or
I
was
knew
he
all
after
about
you,
Kid
or?
Rock. He had already left Detroit for New York. I knew all about him. He had like a hot sister that everybody wanted to meet. I already was a kind of a fan of his rap days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew about Kid Rock. I never had met him at that point. I met him later in life. But yeah, I wanted to be a rapper for real. But it was crazy because at the same time, I was a comedy fiend. Like my dad loved comedy. My mom, they used to go to Vegas and see like Buddy Hackett and, George Burns and the old school comics and the Rat Pack. They were into that stuff. So I grew up loving comedy. So it was either going to be rap or comedy.
That was just like me. I mean, I loved comedy and to me, what was great about rap, especially back in the 80s when I started like in high school, it was a little bit easier. Like it seemed like it actually rhymed, and what drew me to it was like the rhymes. You could see where the thing rhymed, and also there was like funny raps. There were stories.
Hell yeah.
Now it's different. It's like auto-tune. It's just different.
It'll come back. Everything's cyclical.
Yeah.
The storytelling will come back once the mumble rap goes away.
Yeah.
It all comes back. Like even Nas has his new album out with Kanye, and he's the storyteller, genius. But yeah,
but remember like the silly stuff in the 80s, like the
Fresh Prince,
Run DMC. Remember they had like "You Be Illin'," and a "Bam, You Got Beat," just like there was like a story.
Roxanne.
Yeah, I want to be your man.
Yeah. Yo, EMD. Yeah, what's up, man? They're the good.
How about
there goes
friends?
that girl.
How many of us have them? Doom, 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 doom.
That was my era. That was my favorite thing in the world. And one of the greatest things to ever happen to me in my career was I became friends with Run DMC because I had written a TV pilot that we tried to sell for them, and they became friends of mine forever. Like I've been friends with them for 20 years now. And that was
so
like,
cool.
it's hard to be friends with them because my dream was to be in them, to be the fourth member of Run DMC.
Right.
But I got to kick it with them for a long time and had great stories. They always invited me like to their New Year's shows, and that was a great era. And when I did rap in LA, I was actually in the studio with like DJ Quick, AMG, Domino. I was in the hood. I was rapping on
era.
Crenshaw and 72nd.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was on a sketch show on BET for 2 years, and I got to do a sketch with DJ Quick.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He was cool. It was at that On Tonight. It was that rap song about I forget the name of it, but yeah.
Quick was he is a legend. Quick.
So you would go down to like Crenshaw, and you
Crenshaw
would
and
you were
72nd?
rapping on the streets? Or
No. The studio I was
studio.
recording out of when I got to L.A. So I did my rap in Detroit, but when I got to L.A., I was still doing it. So I found a couple producers, and a couple of these dudes, they knew AMG, who did Bitch Better Have My Money, and DJ
Love
Quick.
it.
And so they got my boy Benny, whose family was in the music business, got me into the studio with those guys. And so AMG ended up producing a couple songs for me.
What's the song I'm thinking of? I love that one about when I was a kid or back.
Take me back.
Yeah, Take Me
when I
Back.
was a kid, never had to worry about what I did. You know, it's funny. Joe Rogan heard that song when we were on the radio, and we were on the road together. And I had never told him I rapped, but it it became like his favorite song.
Take me back.
He's like, "What is this? We got to make this a hit." I think I might have to re-release it.
Yeah, you
at
should,
some point
because
people they just love that song. Like they keep bringing it up, they talk about it.
Why not get it out there? Get it on Spotify. Get it on iTunes.
Yeah, I am.
Sell it. Let people buy it. Why not? I mean, you can do videos now. You can do video with it.
No, and I also want to do.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
I want to do a hip hop comedy album though. I do. I'm like, I've already talked to like my boy that produced Eminem. I got some shit like that. I can't let it go. I can't let the rap go.
I know.
I have to keep it in my world somehow, and I don't ever want to do it. I don't want to do it in my act unless there's a natural flow to it. Like I see you do your thing, and it's a natural thing for you. Because it segues properly.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be like, I had a rap group in 92. Check this out. Bang. It has to fit somewhere.
You could,
you know?
You really could. But you could do whatever you want up there. But I know what you're saying. You want it to be.
I want it to flow out of something organic. So maybe I'll do a bit where it's like there's Mike Young and there's Young Mike. And then I could go through Young Mike and do a rap. You know what I mean? Because that was my rap name, was just Young Mike.
Young Mike.
You know?
Am I imagining this? Have I seen pictures of you on private jets with like celebrities, or walking on the airport or something, or a private? Or
you might have.
I'm thinking. Or I don't know if it was a private plane. Leonardo DiCaprio.
You might have seen some.
I've seen some stuff like that. All right. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you know all these people and stuff. It's so cool.
I know, but weirdly enough, I know I became friends with Leo and Tobey Maguire and Kevin Connolly. I became friends with these guys because when I first came here and I was doing open mics 18, 19 years ago, 20, whenever it was that I got here, and I started at the Comedy Store, my boy Chuck, who now is a big movie producer, but then used to like run the newsstand. He was my friend that I played basketball with who grew up in LA. He would come to the Comedy Store and just like kind of became friends with me and loved my act and was like, all right, bro, listen, I got to get a basketball game on Wednesdays. I'm going to bring you in because we need another guy. I go into the gym at the YMCA in Beverly Hills for a basketball league, and my team is DiCaprio, Toby, Nick Cassavetes, the director. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of like blown away, but I can't act blown away. I got to be cool because I'm swagger. I'm Detroit. I could play ball. So I was definitely one of the better guys on the team. But the real truth is that's how I met those guys playing basketball. So we were in the league together. We all got along great. Leo was a gentleman, and we became friends. And when he became super wealthy and famous, he built a court. He built a basketball court at his house, and we moved the game to his house. And that's where we played every Sunday for years. And from that friendship, I was very fortunate enough to like just enjoy his success.
When I moved to LA, somebody told me that. Here's what they told me. They said, whatever you're into, he goes, I find that people connect with whatever that thing is that they're into. And at the time, he was talking about drugs. He was like if people are into, he goes, all the weed smoking comics are going to huddle around and hang out. All the guys that do coke are going to hang out. He goes, but it doesn't have to be that. He goes, I'm just saying, whatever that thing is that you're into, you guys will find each other. And I was like, because I was offered those basketball things, but I don't play basketball. Now I'm like, damn, I should have done it. But I'm always out for, hey, let's play basketball. And I was like, I get sunburn. And I remember I was going back and forth, like, I can wear my hat, but it's like it's a big straw hat. And but that's cool though, right? You guys, the basketball.
We bonded over playing ball, and because coming from Detroit, I was playing every summer with like high level ball players. Even though I never played high level, I could always hold my own. And when I got in the game, I got respect on that level. And then, and I'll never forget, man, like we all just became friends. And it took me a while to like just feel like I could be friends with them because they were becoming really famous and I wasn't from that world, you know? So like I had to act cool, but I wasn't cool. I was still enamored, kind of that like, Leo, man, this motherfucker is really famous, you know? But like, meanwhile, his assistant's calling me going, Mike, the plane leaves at 11 o'clock on Friday. Have a bag packed for 3 days. You guys are going to Miami. That shit was happening. So I was having the greatest time.
Wow.
And to the point where like I tried to write a bit about it, but I didn't know how it would come off. But the bit was gonna be something like basically like, yo, I wanted to thank Leo's acting coach for the greatest 10 years of my life. You know what I mean? Like that English accent you did in The Departed or in Gangs of New York got me laid 41 times in different cities.
It's funny when you can connect with somebody at a high level like that, which is if you know something that's like, okay, what I'm getting to is I saw Mark Cuban at a casino and he was surrounded by security, but I knew I'd taken an acting class years before at Aaron Spizer's workshop. Yeah. For a year. I studied there for like 3 years. And I used to see this headshot, you know, from Mark Cuban. So when I saw Mark Cuban, I was real friendly, you know, and I just go, Aaron Spizer, acting. You know, and I what did I say about acting?
That's hilarious.
Acting is imaginary circumstances. Truthful behavior in imaginary circumstances.
Right.
Acting, you know, I was saying the stuff that Aaron would drill into our head.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Mark Cuban stopped on a dime and he goes, Aaron Spizer, acting, and he goes, hey, what's your name? And he talked to me for like 5 minutes.
Of course.
And it was so cool. And my wife goes, you should have got a photo. I was like, well, you know, I don't know.
No, but listen, man.
But yeah, it was cool. I go, hey, I'll be at the Tropicana. If you come by, I'll put your name on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
But it's kind of neat, right? Like because it wasn't like, hey, I know you're from Shark Week or whatever. No, what was he? Not Shark Week. That thing where
the beach.
No, they invent stuff.
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
Oh, I thought you were saying. I thought you were talking about a Leo movie.
No, I'm sorry.
Cuban.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just fortunate, and yeah, Leo's just like a regular dude, man, like a real gentleman, cool dude. And I'll never forget playing the Laugh Factory one time. They all surprised me and walked in to the Laugh Factory, and it just became like one of those nights, like everyone's like, why is Leonardo DiCaprio, Lucas Haas, Kevin Connolly, and Tobey Maguire, and Ethan? So why are they here? And a couple people, maybe someone knew, but they're like, they're here to see Mike Young. And that was it. And then it was like, all of a sudden, everybody for weeks was like, yo, Young, what's up? Because what would happen was, I had a double life. Nobody knew. I didn't talk about it ever here at the Comedy Store. Yeah. I would come here every night. I would do my spot. I would go to the corner. My boys, Leo, they would pick me up to go to the club on the corner over here. I'd hop in the back of a Prius, and we'd go clubbing. So I had two distinct lives, you know, and like I never told anyone at the Comedy Store what was going on, except one time I invited Bobby Lee up to Toby's, and Bobby Lee's like, I can't go. I just don't want to go. I'll end up naked in a jacuzzi. I can't go. I don't know what I'll do. I got it. Don't take me up there. So I had him drop me off at the house, but I kind of kept those two worlds separately. I just kept them separate.
That's hilarious.
But
hey, it's been great talking with you. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at The Real Mike Young. They can find me in my podcast, Stories That Need to Be Told.
I love it. You had a boxer, Gabe Rosado, on there.
Yeah, he was a beast.
He came to the gym, and I knew him before that, like a little bit. You know, I'd see him around. I'd see and then of course I saw him in Creed. Heard him on your podcast. And we got to know each other. And then so I was at the gym one day, and he came over to me and goes, "Hey, come on, champ, I'm gonna hold mitts. Let's do it." You know, and he held mitts for me, and like. Was giving me. He was getting so into it, like he was showing me, like it's like okay, they think he was telling me this one move where he's like, you want to let your opponent graze you, and you let him graze you, and you turn your head, and then you snap back with the right. And I'm like, I don't really have an opponent.
That's just called rolling with the punch.
But it was hilarious. Like he was like, he's like, now you might lose a point with the judges depending on where they're sitting, but it was cool. Like he's just talking to me like,
yes, but he was giving you knowledge. He's a high level. He's a top 20 guy now, I think. He was. He lost the fight that he had.
He's good though. I want to see him fight again.
He is good, but it's funny, man. You got a guy like that who is world class. Yeah. Then you see him fight a guy like Cotto. I think it was Cotto that beat him. And then you see the difference between super world class, and then the rest of the world. It's really a crazy thing. There's really special athletes out there, you know, and
It's kind of
top 20 special, but those dudes at the top, they got something extra going on.
That's what's, you know what, with comedy, it's subjective. So there's not
Yeah.
really a fine, like, these are the 20 because sometimes they're pushed through certain ways, or maybe it's whatever's hip at the moment.
Of
And then
course.
it's like with like you said, with boxing or with athletes, it's like,
Guaranteed.
you could tell.
Best
you know?
man usually wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Seinfeld he said something really cool about comedy the other day on his Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. He said the comedy world has its own ecosystem. So the lames will be filtered out. They'll just naturally be filtered out. You can have a little run, but the dudes, if you're funny, funny's going to stay. It just doesn't go away. And it's proven on stage. You know, so you don't, it's science. You laugh.
Yep.
We don't need a critic to say it. There's no critic. There's nothing you could say. The game, the review's already in.
Yes.
They laughed. We won. Goodbye. You know
Goodbye.
what I mean? Good night.
And we'll come up with more stuff and more stuff.
Yeah.
You know, damn, this has been great.
I love it.
My YouTube channel is Darren Carter. Instagram official Darren Carter. Thank you for liking this podcast, subscribing. It's, you know what? Listen, you've listened this far. I really thank you guys. Go to YouTube, leave a comment, a thumbs up. Go to iTunes. iTunes is really where I think the algorithm is, right?
Yeah,
Comment
iTunes and SoundCloud.
and
feed each other.
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think this is on SoundCloud.
Are you sure?
I don't think so. It might be, but let me know if you guys heard this on SoundCloud. I know it's on all these places.
Yeah.
Stitcher.
Same with
iTunes.
me. Yeah.
And-
My stories that need to be told is iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher.
How do we?
Same thing.
I listened to your podcast. I know you took a break for a while to do movies, and then you came back.
I'm doing it weekly.
Weekly. Okay, it's a weekly.
Every
thing?
week my
That's
podcast
great.
comes out. Every Monday it's been coming out. So it's on All Things Comedy Network.
Great network.
Yeah. So it's on there. Those guys are great, and I'm enjoying doing it, man. I love kicking it with you. I've known you a
Dude.
long time. You've
I-
always been a great dude.
Sometimes
and
you
a
go to-
funny comedian.
And thank you. So I mean, I like your podcast because you know it's an extension of what we do, and sometimes they're funny. Sometimes your podcasts are funny. Sometimes it's really interesting. Sometimes you get dark, not dark with it, but there was. It might have been a couple of years ago. It was during the holidays. I think somebody was going through a sad time in their life or something.
Yeah,
and
probably my mom.
No, wasn't your mom? It was a friend you grew up with, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was. I don't remember. It was like maybe like suicidal or something.
Oh, right.
And you talked to them
Yeah.
and you helped them, and I was like, man, you were like, you got to reach out, people, when you guys get, when you have, whatever. But
I'll go deep.
it's uplifting, It's
Yeah.
not just like morning radio. Hey, we're wacky.
I don't do wacky. I never could.
Yeah, I could do wacky in small doses, but as far as a listener, I like to be entertained and learn something.
Yeah.
That's why I want to, for this podcast, I always try to give people something, a guest that I know is going to drop some knowledge or little nuggets. Okay, well, I just want to keep talking, but one last thing. When I told you about boxing, and I go, even in my hotel room now, when I'm in what I love about boxing too is like, before I thought you could only work out with weights. I was like, I got to find a gym, and then I learned you could sweat just by doing burpees, push-ups, sit-ups, and shadowboxing.
Big time.
You were telling me something about, you go, yeah, sometimes I'll be in the hotel and I'm like, okay, I don't go to sleep till I've done 1,000 punches.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Right?
For the longest time, every night before I went to bed, I had to throw 1,000 punches. And then sometimes I'm nuts. Sometimes I'll watch a boxing match. I'll put myself in one of the guy's bodies, basically, and I'll just pretend I'm fighting the other guy, and I'll move around as if I'm in a video game,
That's
and I'm
hilarious.
boxing the other
Dude,
dude.
I do that at the gym when they're sparring. You
Yeah.
know? Like, but no one even bats an eye. They're just
You
like,
have to.
Yeah,
It's great.
They get it. It's
Yeah.
like, I used to be embarrassed. I never even shadowboxed like the first year because it's a little embarrassing, Like if you don't, you know what I mean? Like oh man, everyone's know I suck, and then no one cares. They're just happy that you're there.
Not
and
just
you're
that.
Not, yeah.
Shadowboxing is actually a great thing, and what it teaches you and what it helps you with in life is it takes the attention off yourself. So like it'll help your acting, it'll help your comedy, because shadowboxing you gotta get in there and you're throwing at a make believe opponent.
Yeah.
So it's not about you. You gotta see somebody in front of you. You gotta move. He's moving at you. It's very
You're
creative.
pushing off your back foot going forward. Now you're pushing off your front foot going backwards.
It's
and
totally creative.
doing that U thing. What's that U thing called? Where like if someone's arm is straight out and you're like dipping under it, like not a slip, but like a
bob and weave.
bob and weave. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
like,
you're doing everything. I was never a big bobber weaver because I grew tall fast, so I would lean back a lot in boxing. I just didn't like bobbing and weaving, and never, Emmanuel Stewart always was like amazing at like taking fighters with their whatever their natural thing was. He would just expand that and use that. So it was very difficult for me to bob and weave because I was tall and lanky, and it wasn't my move. It was like I could avoid punches by going side to side or back. You know what I mean? And if you watch old Ali, not a lot of bobbing and weaving from Ali. Tyson bobbed and weaved. He was 5'11".
So good at it too.
You know, best bobber weaver, one of the greatest. You know. Joe Frazier, one of the greatest bobbing, weaving fighters of all time. But you watch Ali, and he was just a ballerina with power. You know what I mean?
Lomachenko, have you seen him? He's
Hell
amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That guy's another good guy, right?
Beautiful fighter. And by the way, he took ballet. He took Russian ballet for 2 years. That's why his footwork is like that. If you watch his footwork, it's a ballerina. It's crazy dancing. Crazy dancing. You know? I mean, Ali's my favorite fighter of all time because of his repertoire, because of what he had in his arsenal.
Yeah.
And I forgot who was talking about him, but like somebody was talking about Ali and just how he could just tap, 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 bam. You know what I mean? He would tap, tap, tap. You know what I mean? Lure you in with a couple light jabs, a couple light, 1-2s at a medium pace, and then drop a hammer on you. You know, he confused you. He was the ultimate jazz musician of boxing.
You know how you said boxing could be a metaphor for life? Like, I love that phrase when they say throw punches in bunches. You don't just do like one punch.
Yeah.
And if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, And it's like in life, right? Like, what if you just put out one podcast a year? That's nothing. You got to do, like with podcasts, throw them in bunches, punches and bunches.
Absolutely.
Do one a week, and then 2 a week, and then 1 a week, but do it consistently. And then now it's like, it's a thing. How can people be a fan if we're not putting anything out? It's
you got to put it out.
This may be the first time hearing me, and I thank you guys, and I thank you, and what a great guest to have, Mike Young. And by the time you heard this, you can go back and be like, oh wow, he's starting to build up a catalog of these, hopefully, entertaining podcasts.
Thanks, Darren.
Pocket Party.
I could tell him to see my movie real quick.
Tell him everything.
Yeah. So boom. If you have Netflix, my movie A Stand-Up Guy, I wrote and directed. It's on there right now for the next year. And if you have iTunes, you can go see My Man is a Loser, starring Rappaport and Stamos. Both comedies, both fun, and thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you, man. It's great to have anyway, thank you, man. Guys, thank you. Thank you for coming to the party, and we'll see you soon. Give us that review. Thank you. That was great, man. Thanks. Really good.
Yo, we probably went over an hour.
That's you know what? Right? I love it, man.
I love it. What do we do? Hour and 10?
Yep. Right now. Oh shit! I didn't turn it off yet. Hey, what are you getting into now?
I'm going home. It's 12 o'clock. I'm going to go home, shower. I'm going to check the list. I'm on the list to see if I'm going to get up. I'll see where my name is.